Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast, My Hero Academia edition. Today we are back for the next three episodes of our My Hero Academia final season review. We have the My Hero enthusiast with us, Miss Andrea Alanis. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Martin. I'm doing good. I can't believe my hero is running through as quick as it is. We're halfway there with this second review. Also, it just feels like this month is flying by. We're almost halfway through November. We've had four birthdays since the last time we did a podcast, or just the three. Also, shout out Justin. I'm sorry I missed your birthday. Seeing all those announcements. My bad. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, so we did have a blitz of birthdays that did happen these past couple of past 2 weeks actually. And like you said, with My Hero, how we're already halfway through because it's already been announced. The official last day is December 13th. That is the last My Hero Academia episode of the original manga ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that is exactly, we are recording on the 12th. So it is almost exactly 30 days from now.
Yes.
So
Oh,
thoughts
wow.
thoughts on that? So technically, at 31 days from now, the series is over.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I was just having lunch with a friend of mine talking about my hero. He's asking me my thoughts on my hero. And I'm just very much like, it's hard for me to imagine that it's gonna be over. It's still hard for me to imagine that. I know, obviously, as the episodes are going, it feels that much closer to the end. But I think it's just a little bit of denial that I don't really want it to be over. It's, I don't know. I don't know about you, Martin, but it feels different for me. I can't quite fully put my finger on why. I think there's multiple reasons, but I'm hoping maybe I have a better grasp on what each of those reasons might be, why my hero coming to a close is hitting me, I feel like, more than when Naruto came to a close for me. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to put a pin in that and keep ruminating on it because, yeah, something about it is just extremely different.
Yeah, I can get that. Also with Naruto, I mean, again, if you read the manga and all that, that was 700 chapters,
Hmm.
and like My Hero's not even close to 700 chapters by any stretch of the imagination. So it was a long period of time, and then just with this one, I guess also too, like we've stated numerous times before, you might have a sentimental thing that because it got you like back into like the anime like genre in a sense after like a Naruto ended, and then you're like, oh, what do I watch now, or what do I rewatch again? And then you find this new thing, and then this new thing leads to all the different stuff. I mean, I could take it to a kin of like people who may have been our ages, even as children was sad, but people who are our ages, the ages we are now, back then when Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z ended their like direct
Hmm.
manga run, like before the spin-offs and all of that, when they were just like, oh, this is the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, where I've watched Goku grow up as a kid from Dragon Ball all the way to Z, and then like now he's a grandfather, like, and then having that ending, or like Sailor Moon's like, oh, I saw this girl who was just a crybaby school kid to then becoming like the celestial being of the universe. So it's like,
Hmm.
so I think stuff like that is akin to that. And then other people will have the same. I think it's the anime that brings you back, or you've had a deep connection with, that you've made friends with. That always has the thing because, like you said, you'll pin that depending on how you felt like when Naruto ended, when My Hero ended. When we come back, probably 4 years from now, it'll be like, all right, now you'll have the pin of when Naruto ended, when My Hero ended, and when Demon Slayer ended.
Right? Oh my goodness. And that's, I mean, part of the reason we have to wait so long for Demon Slayer is their decision to cut it into a movie. Realistically, if they would have just done everything in one go, seasons wise, I mean, it'd probably be over next year.
Hmm.
So thankfully, they're letting us breathe a little bit, in my opinion. One of the pros to that decision. So not everything comes to the immediate stop. Because what else is going to be ending fairly soon is JJK,
Oh yeah,
to
that'll
my
be done
understanding
soon
at
too.
least. Hmm.
Yeah, because the manga's been done, so we don't have that much longer on that one either, depending on how many episodes they'll do for this next season coming up and things like that. So
Hmm.
just when you're attached to something and things come to an end, especially when you connect with characters, you're buying the merchandise. It sucks when your characters are finally having their moment at the end because then you know it's the end. Like
And
they're not gonna get like cooler moments like that ever again. And you're sitting there like, oh, why did my person get this moment in season four or season whatever? And then again, like when you see the things like My Hero ends December 13th, 2025. This started back in 2016. So it's like
mhm.
it's crazy. And there's also too with the English dub, I mean, they're moving really quickly as well. They're like right behind the Japanese dub. So and they're doing a really good job with them as well. So
Yeah, they are. Absolutely, they are.
because I saw Bakugo's voice actor talk the English one,
Clifford,
Clifton. Yeah,
isn't that his name?
Clifford. Yep, Clifford
Yeah.
talked about how he passed out multiple times during the
Yeah, and he
his
like,
episode.
did I read that he strained a muscle in his eye? You sent it to me. Isn't that what
Hmm.
it was? Yes. I was like, talk about dedication to his craft.
No, it's crazy. And then like those people before we really just get talk about these episodes, and that's why just for any of the younger people who ever listen to our stuff and sometimes the older people who don't get it. That's why, as nice as these voice actors are, why they don't do their voices all too much. Like they only do it like a one-time thing at a con because again, it's their livelihood and they got to do stuff like that and they can't as much as they would want to. I know one of the prime examples who always says it is God, now he's everywhere. Zenitsu's voice actor. He says you'll only get
Hmm.
one. You get one right when they do the usually presentations and stuff. Like if they're doing a
Right, the
Q and
panels.
A. Yep.
Hmm.
And then that because again, like if you're voicing a really big character in a show and then you got minor characters in other shows, I mean, it's just like
You
work. They're
need to
not
have your
Not your voice.
instrument ready.
You can't say, "Hey, I was screaming at a con, so I can't come to work." And especially in his like, not saying him, but like Zenitsu, like dog, we're trying to make $1 billion in the box office. We don't have time for you to be messing with your voice.
Right.
So it's just, we'll see. We'll see how things all connect. But last time, because this is for the final season, we did 3 episodes. Typically we do four, but since it's moving so fast, we did three. We did the first 3 episodes of season 8. So then our first one of that we'll talk about all of them in a bit, pull out the bits and pieces, is number 4, Quirk Explosion. Obviously, we ended with Bakugo and
Coming back
arising
on the scene. Yep.
from the literally from death. He was dead.
He was.
If Edge Shot did not exist, or if Edge Shot was you, just again, we put it in context because obviously it's a story. We know it's written, but when we're talking about it, we're talking about it like real life, like anime sports implications. Could you
Hmm.
imagine if their plan sent Edge Shot to a different part of the battlefield?
For real.
Bakugo would be dead.
Bakugo would be dead. Legitimately dead. Not a shot, because the only other person that had a fair shot at trying to stitch things up, Best Genius was there, but he needed more than that. He needed that extra, like, physical, what is that called? Like contractions, the
Hmm.
squeezing that Edge shot could put through instead of just the pressure that, and again, with threads, depending on how you're going to put more pressure at the top or the bottom, and threads are, when used like that, they can be sharp and rip through flesh. So that's not very helpful in this situation, especially when he's already bleeding out, his heart, his chest blown open, his heart's essentially blown open. Gosh, he was in. Part of me still doesn't believe that he's. I mean, he's definitely alive and kicking, obviously, as we see in episode 4. towards the second half of episode 4, I was actually a little surprised with the content of this episode or the layout of it at least, because we didn't get to, Quirk Explosion, Bakugo until like the second half.
Yep.
The first half of the episode opens up with
All
All
for
for
one.
One and Yoichi's backstory, the story of their birth, which
Hmm.
I was not expecting.
No, I guess they showed a little bit of the previews about like their backstory. It just didn't show how far they were gonna
Go.
start from. And it literally, I mean, Lord, you talk about, you can't judge someone as soon as they're born, but goodness gracious, all for one from the jump as a baby was an asshole.
Was a menace, and like part of it, of course, most all babies have the what is that called? The survival drive, is that what it
Hmm.
is? So, I mean, of course, he's an infant. He doesn't know, quote unquote, how to use his quirk. So he's trying to survive, and in that somehow just absorbs his mom's quirk, which we saw her use when people like stopped to try to help her.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when we saw All for One use it, but we've seen him use it before, where it's like the bones just kind of shoot out.
Hmm.
And so we see him freaking steal it from his mother as a literal infant. At first, the first time I watched it, I thought it happened as soon as they were born because
Hmm.
of how small Yoichi is,
Hmm.
but I'm not quite sure if that's accurate. Now looking at like the general description of the episode, it specifically says twin brothers are born to a prostitute. I don't know
Hmm.
about you, Martin, but I didn't pick that up in my first watch that she specifically was a prostitute.
Yeah, that's what it also says. Like you just read, it says on the official things too. So I could see that I'm pretty sure if you read it, it blatantly says it. Like if you read it in the book, but it's one of those probably one of those things that kind of like casual omitted
Casually,
off
like,
they left it to the interpretation. Like because you could have just
yeah,
thought she was homeless, and
that was how I
technically,
read it at first too. And of course, her response is a little bit more aggressive. So my thought is, she's traumatized, she's been hurt, whatever. But it would make more sense that, unfortunately, being a prostitute, all of the abuse that can come with that.
hmm.
Generally, the implication would be that she's pregnant by a John, all of that stuff. But this episode also kind of highlights the fact that she had a meta ability. We know All for One had a meta ability, but the baby that supposedly originated quirks, as we had been told before, the glowing baby was born after them. So quirks have already been around before the glowing baby was born, and I think that kind of my understanding of it is it helped kind of bring more focus into the fact that yeah, these are here to stay and it's a spreading phenomenon. And you get to see more of the strife in the early years, seeing, All for One walking around, and there's a group of non-meta humans meeting, and they're like, oh, that's a meta orphan, like, just leave them alone, like, they're no good, or they're carriers, and they're walking away from him, and he just spears them all straight through the head. Like, he was always ruthless. I had to, I had to look away the first time I watched this episode, and we see him. I know he's nursing, but he's nursing so aggressively that again, it's animated that his mother's breast is bleeding. Like to
Hmm.
me, yes, he's nursing, he's an infant, but it looks more like he's eating his mother.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. That's why I said like I don't know if I could take anything for all for one baby. I felt like that was for purposeful. It was kind
Yeah,
of like when to relate to an anime that we actually don't talk about most of here. Like when Miramon was born, he basically told his mom, "I'm getting the F out," and like didn't
yeah.
care if she lived or
Tore her to
died.
pieces, did not matter if she died.
So basically,
Peaced
all for
out,
one's
yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm if the best way is to get the most by
The most
killing you, but
nutrients.
yep, and
Hmm.
then my brother's on the side not getting a darn thing. That's crazy. I think the biggest lore thing for me that I learned in this is that he's the one who killed that baby, like that kid, the glowing the baby who was
Yeah, but
first. That was the
I thought it
biggest
was
lore thing for me.
I thought it was he killed the glowing baby after they were an adult because they were leading a movement. So it wasn't still
Yes, yeah,
a
that's what I meant. Like
yeah.
he's the one who took
Okay.
that kid's life because that's all we know the baby as the glowing baby. Like
Right.
you didn't
Yeah, because it
even.
was it a girl?
Uh,
I
no,
don't
Jed is
remember.
unknown. We don't know. We don't know anything
Okay.
about. It's just a glowing baby, and All for One is the one who killed the first person who was registered with the quirk officially. Like that was some
Yeah.
lore for me. That was like, oh my goodness. So that's kind of crazy because that would be cool if the baby finds its way back around in the story. But
Right? That's what I'm
I,
wondering if we'll see. Well, we didn't see because getting a little ahead in the episode, All for One is defeated in this episode. So I was gonna make a comment about seeing the glowing baby as like one of the quirk, little manifestations.
mhm.
But we see him leave, but maybe Shigaraki has a quirk now. Anyway,
Yeah. So
something. Go
10
ahead.
million people. That was how many people were follow. This baby is almost kind of like Jesus Christ. Like
Hmm.
was following this day because we don't know boy or girl, and they grew up and they were calling for peace, return to safe
Hmm.
society. Like they had all these people. Then All for One killed the
Yep.
glowing adult and came the demon lord.
Yeah.
Wild lore.
I think the
Mm-mm.
other thing for me, just for understanding of the characters wise, I think part of me had a small curiosity whether or not the writer was going to have All for One have the slight redeeming quality about he cared for his brother.
Mm.
Because again, he's been searching for him, trying to quote unquote get him back. And again, he speaks very condescendingly, but
Yeah.
generally he has a softer tone when talking to his brother overall. Of course, when he's upset, he's upset.
Mhm.
But this episode made it very clear he does not care about his brother as long as his brother belongs to him. He does not have any, that's my brother feeling. That's my property. I get to, dismiss it or use it or keep it however I want to.
Mhm.
And it made
Yeah.
me really sad hearing, Yoichi's thought process talking about how like he remembered like a warm hand as an infant and they
Mhm.
zoom into the illustration of All for One's giant baby fist, just like death gripping Yoichi's wrist. So
Mhm.
us watching as an audience, we know that was not a caring gesture. That was like a forceful grab, but that's unfortunately the only warmth he knew.
Mhm.
So that's how he interpreted it because he is a kind person and he hoped, some of that kindness might exist in his brother, which we now know never, never existed.
Yeah, never existed at all. And then the fact that when he is found, you know, when the army folk, the only time we really see army, like Bruce, and then
Yeah.
when they
I mean, they're
save,
dressed up like they are,
I'm assuming they're army resistance, probably All for One resistance type thing.
for
And like,
sure.
you have the Bruce and your Ricci handshake, and then we see it how All for One's the one who like physically he killed Yuichi, but then like his hand was still on him. But then
Yes,
he
I saw the
realized,
hand drop and I was like, ooh,
hmm
that's probably one of the hands that's on Shigaraki's face.
yeah,
Not on his face, but on his body. Has to
so
be.
then he's dead, but then he realizes like the essence is still
Hmm.
alive, and then like you just said earlier, because now that he does not own his brother, he wants to get his brother back, which obviously that becomes a quirk, All for One. And every time it keeps getting transferred, that means he still can't get his brother, which
Hmm.
means it's like, what the heck? And then he keeps killing the All for One users, and it keeps getting transferred. And then to a
I
lot
did
of,
not expect N to get cut in half. That was brutal.
yeah, that was bad. He killed,
I don't
like,
understand how he had the wherewithal to pull his hair out and hand it off to Nana. Like, I don't understand. Bro, you were cut in half. How did you live that long?
the power of All for One. And then obviously until it got to All Might, like, he, if that doctor wasn't around, One for All would have been dead.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that doctor, I mean, All for One, I'm sorry, I always get them mixed. All for One would have been dead. Like, because All Might destroyed him. Like,
Yeah.
destroyed him. So that was a crazy. It was a crazy quick backstory in the first half of the episodes, just real quickly seeing like, all right, this is how they were born. You've always been an asshole. You killed you killed your mom probably pretty much, probably sucking the life out of her. You killed your brother. You're mad because you don't control your brother's dead spirit, which is crazy obsessive. And then
Yeah.
now that spirit's been bane of your existence. You got your ass beat, and then you got saved by this doctor, the doctor who, if he just would have been minding his own business, none of this would have happened. And then
Hmm.
we're back to the present day, and
Hmm.
like you said on previous episodes, the second user, aka Bakugo's ancestor, that is not officially true. We're just going to call him that because obviously they look
Yes,
the
thank you.
same.
I vehemently in my soul believe that. I know All for One said he killed all remnants of his family. I call bullshit because Bakugo looks way too much like him. Anyway,
And that's why I even called him. So then he's mad. So uh, he is about to unleash everything he's got because he's going to kill Bakugo and get to Shigaraki in
all in one fell swoop. Yep.
one fall swoop. So,
The actual illustration of it all reminded me a kind of reminded me a little bit of I'm forgetting his name now. Sun Eater. Sun Eater
mhm,
is, was it the plasma cannon? Yeah, how it's just like kind of an amalgamation of a bunch of different stuff.
mhm.
This was just on a much bigger and honestly, in my opinion, more grotesque scale because we saw like a lot more random faces, shapes, honestly, debris in there too. It was pretty ugly. But you knew the force that was going to be applied to it because we see All Might, who has several broken bones and is basically fluttering between consciousness, unconsciousness, death, life, all of that. Like, get up and sprint towards Bakugo to say, get out of the way. And of course, All for One does what he does and he goes off. And Bakugo, of course, does what he does and is like, bitch, watch this.
Yeah, he charges forward. Uh, it's kind of wild because like then he was throwing all for one off balance. He had like those beads of his sweat planted, which I know another cool way to use his powers.
For sure.
And then like they're all exploding, and like obviously you have Bakugo shooting his Omega Blast too, and then all for one is just literally thinking like, what the hell is happening? How is this happening? And Bakugo, I remember in the line is just like, hey. All you need is one quirk, man. You
Hmm.
don't
Yes,
need
that
all
was
of that
such
stuff.
salt in the wound. Oh, also All for One being like, this is my story, this is my story, and Bakugo being like, no, this has never been your story. It's like,
Yep. So that was really good as well. And then just like letting off that Omega explosion and everyone watching. And I think it's funny too, because obviously people skills have not been his best thing, but he's gotten better over time, but he's been perfect in
yes.
like even like the filler stuff of him like cooking, perfect cook, perfect
Yep.
musician, one of the smartest in the class, perfect like
Yep.
quirk for his sighting style also. But I just laughed when his mom was talking, and I was just like, well, at least he wasn't born a perfect looking baby. Like, because
Right? Oh my God. I was wondering about that. I was like, why did he draw? It was so early.
I think that because
Like,
I was just like, yeah, we gotta
we
have it be
gotta nurse him a little bit,
something. So he
humble.
then also then you could be like, wow, great. So he started off like that as a baby, and then he had this glow up of perfection type thing, whatever. But I thought that
Hmm.
was hilarious in the fact. But
It
I do
was.
think with like all the explosions going off, and like when Bakugo was talking about like it's their story, and obviously, and also Bakugo showing the growth, saying I couldn't have beat you by myself
Without,
because he couldn't have. Because
he couldn't have.
if
But
this was
old
the
him never would have
beginning,
admitted that.
yeah, if the old one, yeah, season one and two, absolutely not. But three, maybe we're getting there, but. It's the fact that obviously he was the last person to get like the last hits in,
Hmm.
and he was on the last of the rewind.
Hmm.
Like if Bakugo would have did this at the beginning of the stuff, it would have been for naught because there would have been so many more rewinds. Like this has been built all the way since like Endeavor and Hawks and
Yep.
Tokoyami, like all of them, like they've done there, and All Might's taken one of them out. Like so, it's all been built for Bakugo, and him being the finishing blow is very poetic, and him saying admitting that he couldn't do it himself was just literally the icing on the cake on the official probably we won't see him again till this is over. End of his character growth.
Right,
So,
right.
and
Can I
like,
also just say that
mhm,
I feel so vindicated because I was out here wondering how are they not going to rewind him into a toddler? He has
he
to
did.
rewind
Hmm.
unless they're suddenly going to go from, 10 years old to non-existent, which okay, I guess. Oh, but I was right. I was right. And oh, did they fake me out? I
With
was
the
so
still.
upset when he's crawling on the ground. Bakugo, of course, is exhausted. He's well past his breaking point.
Hmm.
And we hear Bakugo's monologue, inner dialogue going like, all right, he's a baby. He's crawling around. There's nothing he can do. We're good. And we see him start to fall forward to just like collapse, be like, my job's done. And then he's like, he gets a flashback of himself talking about how all you need to do is like stand up.
Hmm.
And so he forces himself back up. We hear All for One's inner monologue going crazy. All we can hear out loud though is crying because he's a baby. He's a literal infant again. And then all of a sudden, boom, bone spike coming straight out of his mouth. And then we get a silhouette shot of it going to Bakugo's head, and we just see stuff
Hmm.
come out. I could not breathe the first time I watched that because I thought that was it. I was like,
Hmm.
all of this
For
for
nothing.
you to go out like that.
To die.
And then to a baby, like an evil baby at that, but a baby.
Hmm.
Of course, LOL JK, not real. And Bakugo, of course, caught it in his teeth and was like, no. Breaks the thing with his teeth. Those are some weak ass bones, I'll say. Breaks the thing with his teeth and then sends off another round of his like sweat, nitroglycerin sweat to blow him up. And then boom, goes from a living infant to a later stage fetus to probably, I think we see like the double egg. So like is that the zygote stage? And then
Hmm.
poof, poof.
Yeah. No, it was really
It
cool.
was
Like,
great.
I was like, finally, I mean, it's taken this since season
It's
seven.
taken generations. It's taken decades.
Yeah, to finally do that. Thank God the doctor wasn't around at this time, or he'd somehow be alive still. But
For real. The other part of it that of his ending that really got me going was we also get to see Hawks is copied quirk
mhm,
inside of him and how he's kind of like rallying the other quirks. They're not even rallying them, but just kind of being like, hey, I'm Hawks and everybody loves him. So with All for One's integration with Shigaraki, we've already known that his feelings of hatred and he's becoming more impulsive and all of those things, those extreme emotions are causing him to lose control over all his copied quirks that he has. So that helped Bakugo win a little bit as well. But at the very end, I'm pretty sure Hawks kind of the copied quirk of Hawks mentions like, you know, Shigaraki was your downfall. Not in those words per se. I can't remember exactly what it was. But in essence, he's saying like you giving in to Shigaraki's hate and
mhm.
illogical thinking going off of your emotions, that's what just did you in, fam. Like
Yep.
if you would have left All Might alone,
Hmm.
none of
Yeah.
this none of this would have happened.
Yeah. It was, man, it was crazy. I was like, all right, he's gone. You've taken it from they've been fighting since season seven of last year to
Hmm.
and how many rewinds did he go through to finally get to this point, and then ends with him on the ground. Bakugo fists up, say, all right, Izuku, give Shigaraki and them hell, and then we transfer over. Next episode, they're still fighting, and then you can never have nice things because literally at the beginning of this episode, the very first 5 to 10 minutes, this man, Shigaraki, one, he realizes his master's dead, and then
Yep.
he's like, oh, yeah, whatever. But then, second, what happened to that thing? Somehow his willpower supersedes seven other people at that
Yep.
point in time, and he snatches a quirk from inside of Midoriya.
Yep. Yep, and one of the, I don't want to say the most useful, like ranking them, they're all useful, especially the way Midoriya utilizes them all. I
Hmm.
feel like one of the things I admire most about Midoriya, and I don't think people talk about enough, is how tactical and strategic his thinking is. Because yes, we always give Bakugo his flowers about, how he thinks on the spot, but some of what he's been doing, in earlier seasons, we see him start taking notes from Midoriya on trying to figure those things out. But yeah, that danger sense, his spidey sense, things that have been helping him narrowly dodge fatal wounds, mortal wounds against an opponent that if he touches you, you're done. Danger sense is the one that's taken. Yikes.
I also, to your point, because I think that's an interesting point about Midoriya, I don't think he gets those flowers anymore
Mm.
because he has, I don't think ever since season 4, I don't
Hmm.
think he gets those props anymore because again, that used to be his main way of succeeding. If people
Right.
remember, I mean, shoot, I don't have the particular one there, but like just like like his notebook, how he used
Yep.
to write all people's like that was a big thing in season 1, season 2. That's how he was getting by, and people saw how tactical he was. But I think that's been significantly forgotten because God, back in the day
He's
where
got the power to overshadow at this point.
he could only use five. When Gran Torino finally taught him, he was able to use five full cowling. We don't even hear that anymore.
Nope.
Like one for all, full cowling, 5%, 8%, 20%. Now we're just
Hmm.
going crazy. So I think once he got the powers became, especially when he got the second quirk, people forgot
Hmm.
about like him really strategizing, him doing the stuff with the book. I mean, just the old stuff of him using like a piece from the metal like robot things and hitting the grenades at the perfect time to
Yep.
propel
To
him
launch him
over.
to win the
Yeah,
race.
like
Yeah.
stuff like that. People forget about that. Or like the dang the chicken game of like, oh, we need to go grab this person's headband if we do X, Y, and Z. But
Yes.
they for
Hmm.
like that's so it's bad how long ago that stuff was that people forget. Like it really wasn't, oh, I have 10 billion quirks. I can just do X, Y, and Z. It was like, I could only use one for all, two punches. How could I strategize to get the most out of the two punches?
Right. Right. And I mean, especially when it comes to how he's figured out and even coming up with the ideas of because All Might, yes, he had one for all,
Hmm.
but it didn't manifest with these additional quirks. So it's not like he was trying to strategize and figure out how to use Black Whip with Float. Float's a pretty easy one to combine, but plus Smoke Screen, plus Fajin, like he wasn't trying to morph things and make things fit together in combination. And Midoriya's had to do most of this on the fly. I don't remember if it's this episode or the next one that one of the users is kind of like, wow, this is a really risky thing to try to put into play like right now in a life or death situation.
Hmm.
But that's what he's had to do. He also had to do it, was it season 6 with, no, it was season 7 with Lady Nagant coming after him. He used
Which,
some of those same strategies from that fight in the next episode. I know I'm getting ahead of myself,
oh
but
no, it's
like that's
fine. They're basically blending of the same thing. I mean, it's just weird too because I'm also like when they were fighting and Midoriya's like, oh, he's trying to get to the volcano and he's trying to erupt the volcano and decay causing it to erupt and all of that stuff. And I'm sitting here, and I know obviously but I'm like, really? A volcano? A effing volcano?
right.
Really? This is the plan? We're trying to make a volcano. I'm surprised there's not a person who has a quirk that could do that. But
I'm sure there is, but like Shigaraki's just trying to destroy, destroy, destroy. It'd take more time for him to try to find somebody who has that quirk, and that's more of a all for one. Let me think this through. Let me come up with this idea, execute this. Hell, bro probably had that quirk stockpiled somewhere and just needed to get closer to the mountain. Who knows? Thank God he's dead.
I don't know how this man's a top 10 person because it's just like he doesn't even have a plan for life. He doesn't even want to do anything. He
No, his
literally just
plan
wants
is
to
to just
destroy.
destroy.
And
And
then
that's
after
something
that, what do
that
you do? Like, what do you do after? Like, I'm like,
that's
why
what
do
I was
people like
thinking
this
about.
guy?
Oh my God, that's exactly my point. Because I'm just sitting here kind of like, and the vestiges mention it, and I don't remember who else mentioned it, but they're saying like they kind of wish that One for All's uh, more cold, calculative nature that he wants to rule over people would have transferred over to Shigaraki because Shigaraki is destroy, destroy, destroy. At least with All for One, he needs to rule over people, so he needs people to survive. Shigaraki, though, he don't care. And then him having that kind of flashback of like, I want to create the landscape that I told Spinner about because he wants to see it. And I'm like, bro, the landscape you're talking about, Spinner's probably gonna die too. What do you mean? Like, who is going to survive but you? You're gonna be on top of it wouldn't be a pile of ash at that point because he also talked about the fact that he could, within a week sink the entire country, not even going the volcano route, just sink the entire country in a week. It's like, okay, so then it's only you and anybody that can fly that survives? Like,
I'm gonna throw a call back. I'm like, shoot, probably his people that he used to play League of Legends with, they're probably all dead. So if he survived,
yeah,
it's like, oh, let me log on and play League of Legends. Oh, why are so and so
with
not
what
on?
pencil? There! He's gonna have to go to the next continent to freaking grab one, and he's destroy, destroy, destroy.
It's
Which,
so wild. Yeah, it's so pointless. Now, because who knew that she would get some more recognition? Your girl, Star and Stripe. We had a
yes,
vestige appearance, which I was shocked. I'm like, oh, at least she is getting something in the final. Still mad that she never got interaction with Midori, but still besides the point. But
right.
she's throwing some clues. She's throwing
Some
some
hints
clues
to her master, yeah, that
to
Yagi's
only to yeah.
vestige.
It was good. It was good because we're sitting there like, damn. All right, we're tired of this. We need to kill him. Like they're just like, well, all right, let's quit playing games. Let's actually kill him, Midoriya. And then Grandma is like, maybe my
Some people can't
grandson's.
be saved.
And then Midoriya fights back, blah blah blah, this that. And then like we still gotta save him. And then the second he was just hearing that, and he was just like, oh boy, okay. And then feeling that hope, and well, let's try this plan. And then obviously, Star and Stripes like, hold on, Master. I'm message is still here. There's a little crack. I made a little
There,
dent.
there's, and in specifically, she also says, did she say there's a sad boy in there?
Hmm.
There's a sad little boy in there. So she also is reiterating what Midori and the Vestiges peaked at previous, but now she's pointing out, A, he's still in there, which we kind of already knew based off of, his reaction to, getting called out for having no friends.
Gosh, what a yeah,
Uh,
last year.
and but now she's specifically pointing out, hey, like I made a little crack, so you can work off of that. So thank you, Star and Stripe. R.I.P.
Still gone too soon. And still in a
Very
terror
much
in
so.
two introduced and dead in 2 episodes. Still, nah, that's not the way to do it. She should
Yeah.
have been in this season, but it is what it is. So the way that they're like, all right, this is how we're gonna beat him. We're gonna forcibly transfer One for All into his body. We're gonna attack his soul,
Hmm.
so his quirks can't be used. Obviously, then um, All Might's master realizes that Midoriya really does not want to do that because he's still. This is the thing that his All Might gave him. So to give it
Hmm.
up like this is like he's just like like All Might gave me this. He trusts blah blah. Then he agrees that they're gonna try and do this, and it also goes back to something we said years ago. I wish I had the exact pod, but I remember saying I was like, these two quirks are not staying. They're not. One of them, one or two of them are dying.
Mm.
So if we got to transfer all One for All into this to kill him, like I said, like this, I mean, he's not. He's going to be quirkless at the end of this, or he's going to be dead because the last
Or
transfer could happen literally when he gets stabbed and he dies.
yeah, Yeah,
E
true.
e either or. I know, like, and I remember saying this on multiple podcasts when Doria says like, "This is how I became the greatest hero ever." Doesn't mean you're alive for that.
That's true. A lot of times people would revere the greatest heroes as those that don't make it through and make the ultimate sacrifice.
Because
So,
he sacrificed his ability to technically be a hero. Because well, even though now hindsight, now that we've seen vigilantes, you can be, but
mhm.
vigilantes are just somehow,
The exception
non-existent.
to the rule
Yeah,
5 years before.
but he's given up his ability to be a hero. So either or, he's not going to be a hero anymore, or he's going to be dead.
Hmm.
So
Oh, and that's hard. And that's hard for a realization of the overall story because, of course, neither option is really what we want. But also, Midoriya, I didn't really read it as Midoriya having a reluctance to give up the gift that he's been given. It's just more so that he wasn't sure. I think initially he wasn't sure with the logic. I know I wasn't sure with the logic watching it the first time. I'm like, what? And then my second watch, I'm like, okay, it's starting to make a little more sense to me. But the vestiges, yeah, really comment on the fact that, he doesn't, he's not coveting one for all as like, I can't give up my power or, what am I going to have left? It's, this is a precious gift from the hero I admire the most, who acknowledged, my hard work and essentially my heart for why I wanted to be a hero.
yep,
But even without all the trappings, before, that rigorous workout all might put him through, he still had the heart of a hero. And until the moment it stops beating, he's always going to have the heart of a hero
yep, yep.
and the will of a hero.
So he agrees to do it. He puts himself in the black wick. So there is one thing
Hmm.
before we talk a little bit, we'll wrap up and talk about this last episode. There's one thing I wish they would have done
Uh-huh.
is I wish for a split second Midoriya should have been like, wait, I've done this before because he transferred it
Right?
to Bakugo. That's a
Yes.
split thing that they could have
Thank
added
you. Yes.
because obviously the girl was the first one who yelled Bakugo's name when she saw him on the TV.
Yep.
So it's like you already know they're watching, so you could have called back to Midoriya saying that I transferred it. Obviously, this was before I even this is way before he even knew his other quirks. But
It
like
was. It was
he
well before he had any of those other quirks manifest.
he transferred that over to Bakugo, and then when it was all said and done, movie they said like, oh, it didn't wasn't in Bakugo long enough for the thing
It
to
to take
fully.
over. Hmm.
I don't think that then all of it, when it's all said and done, we're gonna be like, oh, was that plot point? They just plot hole, but
I
that's what
mean,
I wish.
that was my thought for the movie, just point blank period. Now, I think the idea is tied in there as well that their will was preferred to stay within Midoriya. So I think that also played a factor, and that's part of why All Might, cries and thanks the vestiges as well. I think that happens in the movie.
Yes.
But yeah.
Side note
So
before we do that, someone because that's what made me think of it, and of course, since I thought of it after the episode, the algorithm spies literally posted that clip right on a social media thing, and someone said, which you don't answer that now, you could take as long as you need to, maybe the end of the series. Someone said that was the best 45 seconds of My Hero Academia in history. The transfer when Might U starts playing, and the 45 seconds ends with them doing the double Detroit smash into the air. They said that's the best 45 seconds in the My Hero Academia period. And I was like, oof, I would have to blink.
we definitely need to wait to see like the final end of the entire show for me to even remotely try to agree with that. But for me, it's definitely in top five moments personally. And it's
45
hard. You know how I
seconds.
am about top five, but that's a
Hmm.
very specific thing to rank. Like, yeah, this is the top like 2 minutes of the show.
The
Okay.
history of the media. Like, if you wanted to show someone the best 2 minutes of My Hero Academia ever, they were like, this is the scene.
Hmm.
So that was good. But Deku goes going on the offensive, doing all the cool things. You already stated episodes ago how we're getting callbacks, which is cool. We're getting callbacks from his previous fights, how he's using that. in this fight. And then we also see how everyone, the two tech whizzes on the case right now,
Yes.
May and LaBrava, both talking about like what Midoriya basically has done for them in their lives, like
Right.
meant for them. So that was cool. We see our guy, the savior of UA, gentle criminal,
Hmm.
coming down with the plays looking pretty, he was looking pretty cool too with the glowing aura around him too.
Hmm.
I want to be like, damn, bro, now that you're done with this, can you drink some juice and go fly over and help?
Right.
Like,
Right.
goodness. I mean,
Right.
so we see him helping, and then like the mud ball, what's his quirk?
Cementos.
Cementos helping, like, oh, single file, blah, blah, blah. But we don't see anyone of importance come down, you know? Like we don't see
No,
like the big three or like the people who are there fighting in the thing or best genius or we don't see them slide down.
no, we don't. We see Monoma because Monoma's on the
Oh,
stretcher.
he's on life support. Like
Yeah.
it's like it Uraraka, I know it's life support. Like
Yep.
everyone is on
Well,
death's
she got a
door
blood
right.
transfusion from Toga. Toga literally gave up her life giving her blood transfusion. So yeah, your gravity is not looking hot.
None of
Um,
them. None of them.
None. The only ones that are like semi okay, from what we could tell, Momo, she was up and walking. The only thing is she didn't have her utility belt anymore. So it was just her leotard, and she's helping Kaminari walk. He's got his, like Saitama eyes that he's like, overdid it. But we actually
Um,
see him
he had
thinking and
the best scene. I mean, a lot of people have praised that Japanese voice actor for delivering on that scene because
hmm
that scene is very important in this episode where
hmm
I mean, because I've actually I've seen that still before where he's basically I think it was someone doing like a debate of who would win the fight, Midoriya or someone else, but they were like he said Midoriya is probably the strongest person in the world right now.
right
And
now.
then he was just like, but why? Why do I not feel the same reassurance that I do if this was All Might fighting? Like if
Right.
All Might was fighting, we'd be just like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. It's All Might. And then Midoriya's fighting, and we're just like, is he gonna win? Then he starts crying. Like the delivery is great. Can't always say they do
It
anything, but
is.
and he's crying. He's like, does
Does
me
that mean
not
I
thinking every?
don't?
I don't believe in him. And again, that's a perfect one that goes back to that episode in February 2021 about All Might being the
The
symbol
symbol
of
of peace.
peace.
Hmm.
As he's built that up, and now anyone is just like, and he said, I mean, he's the strongest person in the world right now. And he's like, I don't know if he's gonna win. If this was All Might, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't even be crying. I'd just be sitting there like, yeah, let's.
A little nervous, but I feel like you do it. Just like when they were all watching the fight in Camino Ward, like
Hmm.
people were on the edges of their seat. They're like, "Oh my God, is could he actually lose?" But then of course he still won with
Hmm.
Midoriya, and that was I feel like that question was also like delivered in a way that it's given to us because Yamamoto doesn't really respond.
Yep.
They just continue walking off,
She's
and
probably
so the
thinking the
question
same
lingers.
thing.
And so I don't know if you want to give how you feel about it, but I know I've kind of flip-flopped with the idea of like, yeah, if you're feeling nervous, yeah, you don't trust that he's going to win. But at the same time, with everything that's on the line, it's completely normal to to wonder and feel like, oh my gosh, like maybe this isn't going to work because he is only a 15, 16-year-old kid. He I don't know that he knows he lost one of his quirks, but he's up against somebody
No.
who's almost completely, who is physically indestructible at this. He, that's why they're going after his mental state instead of his physical being. Like, I don't think it's wrong per se. I think it's one of those things where two things can be true at once. You can believe that Midoriya is going to do it, but you can also be afraid that he's not going to be able to.
Good point. Uh, I took it from the sense that obviously, I mean, for, obviously, like Denki, they've known Midoriya since when they started Class 1A. So
Right.
he was like the just quirky nerd type,
Mm-hmm.
like super shy about girls. You ask him like,
Anxious. Yep.
oh, like this girl likes to like going anxious, all of that. So sometimes when you see someone, even if they've grown or evolved, that's the iteration you see them as. So it's
Hmm.
like I remember when it was like me, you, and Mineta and someone else just joking around all this stuff and like thinking that you're in there fighting that is just like I just couldn't
Hmm.
see it because I remember when we were clowning around type thing. It's like
Right.
because it's something where too like if one of your friends is like super successful or something and whatnot, but you could be like, I can't believe you're X, Y, and Z because in my head I only know you as X, Y, and Z. So
Oh,
it's
dude,
hard.
for real. I have some of those thoughts about some of my friends on Facebook that I knew in middle school, high school, especially. I have a very specific story that I'm not going to put on the internet. I think I've told you about it on the side.
Hmm.
But to this day, I cannot believe that this man that I have this story and interaction with in middle school is now a pharmacist. Like,
Yeah, like stuff like that. And you're just like, you can't see them as that job. Denki cannot see Midoriya as he said it, but he can't see him as the strongest person in the world because it's like, you're our classmate. You're the
right.
strongest. But so it's just like all that stuff. Like when they saw All Might, they saw All Might as All Might because they knew him as All Might. But then
Hmm.
take the flip side, Gran Torino did not see All Might as All Might.
All Might.
He never
That's
called him
true.
really
That's
All
a
Might.
great point,
He called him Toshinori. Like
Toshinori.
he saw him as that. So it's like depending on what your group is, like and who
Hmm.
knows you and stuff. So that's how it was seen. Like I'm pretty sure Night Eye saw him as like the same, like, hey, like same thing. So that's
Like
just how it
you're
is.
trying to be, but you ain't. Yeah, that's how I saw him. Also,
Hmm.
speaking of like point of reference, how people see others, and we can't control how other people see us. We can
Hmm.
try, but that's not something that's a lot of wasted energy. And I think that was something that jarred me because as a people pleaser, that's something I've always tried to manage and control, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Again, a lot of wasted effort, a lot of wasted time and energy. But again, and I'm jumping ahead to the next episode, but when Midoriya is finally able to kind of manifest within Shigaraki's like innermost workings,
Yeah.
he sees a vision of himself and he's like, this is how Shigaraki sees me. And you see like really aggressive looking eyes. Like he's very, like, yes, he can look determined, but it's more so like menacing is how that, shadowy figure looks. And he's like, that's how Shigaraki sees me. And I'm like, that hurt my heart a little bit because even when he was being a vigilante, even when, at the very end of the History's Greatest Villain episode, Shigaraki makes a comment like, "You're not looking very heroic, Midoriya." And he's right. He's like gritty. He's dark again. Momo made that comment that he's taken on his like dark image because he's got Black Whip kind of all around him, forcing himself to move. Because the implication here is that he can no longer move.
Hmm.
And it just made me feel kind of sad because we know, yes, Deku can be determined and, done, get things done and do it through fighting. But we know he's a cinnamon roll. We know if he could use a gentle approach, that's all he would use. He doesn't like to just throw fists to throw fists, aka going back to like his avoidance of fighting Bakugo for a while. Like he'd rather just try to talk it out, but that's not how Bakugo communicates. So they had to throw Chingazos a little bit, and then they were able to talk it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think too much of that. I thought it was one of those things like, all right, you're the bad guy. That's how you see the good guy because you're the bad guy thinking you're the good
Hmm.
guy, and the good
True.
guy is the bad guy trying to stop you from achieving your dream type thing. That's how I saw it. And I mean, even like if you remember like earlier seasons, like those times where now that we've known like All Might's pretty, I mean, a nice guy, like wouldn't do anything. But like those small scenes back in the day when you saw him like staring with his eyes open, and like even the bad guys talking about like can't even move because they're intimidated by All Might's killing intent. And All Might, I
Hmm.
don't think has tried to kill anyone besides All for One. So it's like
Right.
I think it all
His
depends.
aura, his
Yeah.
presence. Yeah.
So then, because we'll stay on that just quickly, another person who talked about the Midoriya effect was obviously Lady Nagant talking about like
Hmm.
she's not trying to punish evil, trying to make lose evil lose their will, blah blah. But I'm like, all right, and Rock Lee, Rocklock is
Rocklock.
up, is up there with her talking. So, and then quickly before we also go into just like this end part, we see the young bucks. Oh, poor Ari was just trying to
Oh
run to
my
go to
goodness.
Midoriya, saying that he
Yes.
needs help, and then
She
he
needs to help him. She needs to be there.
they're 100 kilometers away, and then even that he's like, man, you don't even have enough rewind power. And I was just like, damn,
And
damn,
then
that
they
sucks.
pan to the flashback of like you should know that after, Eraser, and then they do the I'm like, "Oh my God, so they did try. That makes total sense." Because they never showed us. So
Hmm.
I was under the impression that, they were like, "Oh yeah." He was like, "Nah, it's fine. Like this is my, I don't know, divine punishment, or this is what I get for not being able to save whatever it was." I did not expect it to be she didn't have the energy stored up to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But that makes complete sense because her horn's still real little.
Yeah, and that was even before the Momo and Denki scene. And then obviously you have
Yeah.
Koda console her about,
Hmm.
showing his stuff in Midoriya. And then even quickly too, even like the super side character who asks Midoriya,
Hmm.
"Oh, if you stay here, you guys will be able to get it all back." And then he starts crying. And I don't know, I wish some of the other people started crying, like the people who were being like assholes at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, but again, they only have like 20 something minutes in real time to get stuff doing. So then I'm trying to remember because he was really shocked seeing the picture. Did Midoriya never not know that he knows that that's the grandson, right?
So yes,
Because
but
he
I
was too
think,
shocked for someone who knows.
I don't think, I don't know, maybe it was like the impact of the photo. Also, I know for her, because she was just like, she was even more gassed
That
than
one I
he
can
was.
understand. Yeah,
And that one, I think that's where my brain first went because I kind of didn't really pay attention to Midoriya's reaction. It was more her being like, and I'm like, ma'am, you know. But then I guess for her, it's extra shocking that he held on to the photo because again, she was just rejected from being transferred
the
because
only
she said it
one,
was the only one. So she's the only vestige that Midoriya still has, like with him. And
which
she
is
kind of made
good,
it sound like it's not because she's hated, it's because of her weakness. I feel like that's cyclical. Like her weakness is the fact that she, abandoned her son, for the greater good to protect
guilty.
him.
I think it's
But
more guilt than weakness.
there we go. So, but because of that, his father hated Hero, and his father then transferred that anger and frustration at his kids, mostly Tenko, because Tenko was more outward with his, love of heroes and wanting to be a hero, whereas his sister was going to do the coy, like, no,
Because
I just want to keep it a secret.
the dad is the seventh son, right? It's the dad
Yes.
who's the son. That's what I, because she was shot,
Yeah.
like, because you saw the smack. So she probably did not know that her son smacked her grandson like that.
Also, for that reaction, I was sitting there kind of like, hmm. So if we would have had just a random person standing in, Shoto's house, somebody would have gasped like that at that fact because the
Hmm.
way, again, the general public was not happy with Endeavor, but I don't think people pressed him about that nearly enough. Because for her to gasp the way she did when she saw her son slap her grandson, and that's light work compared to what happened to Dabi and Shoto and the Todoroki family in general. So that's where I was just like, okay, thank
Yeah,
you, some reality in here for somebody to be flabbergasted.
honestly, I don't think she'd be. I think it's one of those things too that you're flabbergasted because it's your own. I
Yeah.
honestly don't think she would be like. I don't think that reaction happens if it's someone else. She just would be like, "Oh, that's bad," like standing there like stoic. But like since it's her own blood and she's probably seeing it for the first time,
Oh, for sure.
and now
It
she's
is the
gonna
first
have the
time.
guilt saying like, if I didn't go on that specific mission that day, I could have been home to stop this smack. If I stop this smack, then he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, and Midoriya is gonna see him kill his family and all that
Hmm.
jazz. My thing, like I said earlier, because all he could do is float. If all, because it looks like we're gonna have these flashbacks, because there's no way he can fight and all this stuff. If this
Right.
ends with him getting a fucking Rengoku donut through Shigaraki's hands, do you know how pissed people are gonna be for the anime only people? Like, if
Oh,
this
yeah.
ends like the flashbacks, blah blah blah, and he has a hole in his chest because he has no powers,
You're right. He's got no, as of this point, as far as we're aware, the physical strength, to my understanding, in their explanation, the vestiges explanation is Shigaraki in the taking or transferring, like forceful transferring of the quirk, he still maintains his strength, the superhuman strength, but not the individual quirks themselves. So I wonder if until float is gone, he still has like the amped up strength. If he doesn't, then he's basically a sitting duck in the air because
Hmm.
he's not going to be able to move fast enough.
Hmm.
He's he can't. He's forcing himself to move with Black Whip.
Hmm. And
If
now
he
Blackwood's
doesn't have it
theoretically
anymore,
gone.
so he
And
can't
so
do it anymore.
that's what I'm saying. Like he could just be in the floating while getting pierced through the chest.
Yeah,
So that's
I
because when these
my
flashbacks are done, we're gonna see. That's how I don't think we'll know until because these next couple episodes are probably gonna be all flashbacks. It's kind of interesting how the next episode is called From Aizawa. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know if this is the right time to
pan
pivot to
over to
anyone
Aizawa,
outside. Yeah.
but to be fair, basically as soon as the season started, we saw Kurogiri warp himself, Mike, and Aizawa somewhere else, and we haven't seen them since. So I knew they had to loop back in here somewhere. They're in the intro.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be important. I figured we would have touched on them already, but pacing wise, because
The
here's my
days are
prediction.
20, 31 days away.
Exactly. My prediction is that you're right, that we're going to be in these flashbacks essentially in the inner world and, talk no jutsuing it a little bit. But I don't think that's enough to fill six more episodes. If you leave just the last episode for mostly like epilogue, like,
Yep.
where is
That's what
everybody
I
now
think.
type stuff, then that's five episodes. Still, Midoriya just made contact with baby Shigaraki's, little outline because we don't see him. I wonder if that's also part of it, that maybe he'll appear after the talking or during the talking. Midoriya also made the comment, I laughed out loud a little bit. I know maybe it wasn't supposed to be funny, but when he's first in the inner world, he's on the doorstep ringing the doorbell, and then out of nowhere, we just see a freaking hauling ass truck. And
Hmm.
all I could think was, truck con, like reincarnate isekai type story. So that's why I laughed. But Midoriya has to dodge out of the way, and his backpack gets clipped.
Yep.
So there is some interaction in that world. So I do wonder if like Midoriya is going to have to fight a little bit here to physically defend himself. I mean, he did just get cut by Stain when he popped up.
Yeah, the
I feel like parts
seventh,
of,
she said something about that too. Like since they've reached a certain, I forgot because I
yeah,
literally just watched it, rewatched before I'm coming on here. But like they
same.
reached things, so it's like, oh, there's a physical thing. But yeah, we're gonna go through some flashbacks, some talk no jutsu again. 31 days is not. We're episode
It's
7 is this Saturday, which means by the time y'all listen to this, which will probably be out by this Saturday, there's only 6 episodes left.
hmm
And we know there has to be epilogue, there has to be conclusion. That's going to be the last episode, maybe the last. So it's like if the last episode, there's 6 episodes left, take out the last episode, five,
hmm
maybe then you have 5 episodes. You still have to have the conclusion of this fight. So two or three, maybe of that episode, but like by Thanksgiving, I think this fight's over
I don't know.
because that would
Maybe,
be
maybe because then that's the last episode on December 13th, and then the week before, which would be what, December 5th?
December 6th. Because
Yeah,
Thanksgiving weekend's the 20. That's only two. Yeah, that's 2 weeks away. That's two
yeah,
episodes. So it's like, and if I think the 13th is an epilogue, Thanksgiving, the first week, the fight's over.
maybe. We'll see. Part of me feels like that's not right. I think they're gonna have a couple slivers of things that we're not considering right now. Like example, like you said, the next episode's called From Aizawa. So that might take up the bulk of the episode, or it might not. But I feel like there might be other little like puzzle pieces that fit in real quick that make it
Mhm.
go past Thanksgiving weekend.
Because my thing is that the final episode is the epilogue years after the fight.
True.
That's my thing. So that means the 6th would be the last episode what has happened post fight, like in the current
Right.
timeline.
How long people are in the hospital,
Yeah, so that would be
who,
this. So that
retires from hero work, all that type of stuff.
so for my timeline, if the post epilogue is like 10 years from now, whatever, the last 13, the six is like the hospital stuff like that. That means the fight does have to end on the 28th or 29th for my
True.
timeline, or it could like
True.
seep into like the sixth. But it's like because there's no way you're going to be able to do the current epilogue of because Japan, their country is destroyed. So you got to do the whole like we got to
Destroyed.
rebuild that, all of that.
Talk about that process. The media is going to be
Hmm.
involved.
All the top
My
hero.
guess
I
is
mean, Endeavor. I think he's done like from a standpoint like his body. Obviously, number two is done forever. Hawks doesn't have a quirk anymore.
no
Like
quirk.
so, it's just
Yep.
like stuff like that. Then eventually, we're gonna have to see who the new number one, like the new heroes. Like how far do these people go? Does Midoriya get like what happens to Midoriya? Like stuff like that. So there's a
I'm also still
lot.
wondering what the hell's going to happen with Edge Shot because Bro is supposedly was making it sound like he wasn't making it out of Bakugo's chest. And now he's
Hmm.
chilling over there with All Might. So it's like, is he gonna be able to fully recover to return to hero work? Because I hope so. He's fucking cool. I really like him. But is he? That's kind of
Yeah.
the question.
All Might's done too. Like he's probably going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So it's just like all that stuff we need to see the kids like
Yeah,
they're all on death's door. Like and then obviously other stuff like all those little punk ass nations who didn't want to help. What's they're going to be their thoughts cuz I think they're going to have some clips like
something to
oh.
say.
Mhm. So there's a lot. Andrew, anything else? There was a lot.
There was a lot in 3 episodes. There was a lot, and there will continue to be a lot in every episode from now until the end because that's all she wrote. That's all there is. It's six more. It's still hard to believe. Can't wait to see him. I can't believe we have another episode. I'm so excited we have another episode this Saturday. And just mad props to all the voice actors, to, Horikoshi, the writing, the animation studio. Just, oh my God. I can't, I don't want it to end, but I'm so excited to see how it ends because unfortunately, I did have some spoilers, but I don't know how we get there. And I'm very excited to see how we get there.
December 13th. Just want to quickly then say cuz I actually said this for the people who listen to the college football and NFL podcast, we do a fun thing called winners and losers at the end. And
Uh-huh.
we talk about winners and losers, not in the sport. It could be anything like pop culture, things of that nature. Like some of the winners I had this past episode that we recorded yesterday that will be out this weekend. I had people like Hilary Duff returning to music, or like Leon
Yes.
Thomas being nominated for like 6 Grammys. One of my winners was My Hero Academia because they have gone 6 straight episodes with
Above a nine.
above a nine. Their lowest is a 9.1. And that was the
Hmm.
first episode of the last season.
Yep.
9.1 is their lowest rating on IMDb. That is insane and almost unheard of. Do I
It
think they'll
is.
get
It
all nine on 13? No, because I think the last episode is going to piss people off. Because
it
it's
it
not
probably
going to,
it
it's going to piss people
if
off.
if the backlash from when the manga ending dropped, yeah. But I'm hoping IMBD doesn't reflect that. But yes, getting even if we have one being 8.9, I'm just gonna round it to a nine. Um, it's just, I mean, credit where credit is due, obviously. It's been that phenomenal and amazing, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay that phenomenal and amazing, just whether or not the masses accept it or recognize it to be as such or agree with me as such.
All I need is by when we get to Thanksgiving week,
Hmm.
or maybe the last week of the 13th, to re to announce the last episode has extended time. Give us a one. It's a fun. Give us a 1 hour final episode. Then my
Ooh,
whole timeline changes of stuff. If they give any
ooh.
episode longer than 30 minutes.
That's a good point. I kind of not that I forgot about that option because I did just rewatch the last episode of the Hashira training arc.
Hmm.
So other animes have definitely done it. I hope you're right. I hope so. I just get the feeling that they would have announced it by now, but maybe not.
Could be
We
saving
shall
as
see.
a Christmas thing. I think also too, I mean, we're gonna have to, yeah, because our timing, yeah, because the next time that re-record will be the next three episodes. That'd be December 3rd.
Yep.
So then that is literally before the second to last episode. And then obviously we'll have to, because we have to figure out a review of the finale. So it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wait, counting that up, I thought there were 12 episodes this season because I'm counting and this only makes 11.
So next one, so we did one, two, three, four, five, six,
Hmm.
and then seven, eight, nine. So we record after episode nine. So, oh no, I'm missing. I saw it right here. December 9th is the last one. No, wait. Nope, December 3rd, because December 3rd goes into episode, we'll go into episode 12 because it was every three episodes. Just the last one hasn't been scheduled yet because of December being the last of everyone stuff. End of year podcast,
Hmm.
anime league last thing. So we'll just have to pick the right day because that's gonna need almost all the time it can deserves
Yeah,
to talk about the finale. So, Andrew, anything else?
I don't think so. Everybody stay with us on this journey through My Hero's ending. Listen to, you're feeling sad, reminisce on the old podcast. I honestly might start doing that myself because
Oh,
man,
I
I can't
think
believe this is all going to be memory lane in a month. In a month, I'm going to be done talking about OG My Hero Academia
I think you'll
as like
love
fresh
it.
content.
I think you'll love listening to the past because then you could just sit back and be like, man, I was so right on that, or I was wrong on that, or if the past me knew what was coming,
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z. Yeah,
Yeah. So as always, hang with us, guys. Interact with our content, leaving comments. Love to see that. Share the links with anybody you know that might be interested in the podcast, of course. I'm gonna try to do a better job of that myself. I missed the boat for the last one, even though, you know, doing it as a hey, do it for my birthday. Listen to this podcast.
I mean,
Kind of
shoot, you're
snug.
almost. I mean, I don't know any of the stuff right now, but since it's December, we're getting closer to like the
To the
Spotify
records.
raps and
I
all
have
of
a
that, and
reputation to uphold.
yeah. So we gotta see where that all ends in the end of the month. But we'll be back with the next three. God, who knows? Only we'll see where they are. And with that being said, the L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.